Hello and welcome to Horrible Horror, where I put my life on the line for your entertainment. Well, once again I suddenly find myself a whole year older, and while one should always look forward, these times are also the best times to look back and see who you've been and who you've become. Of course, when I look at who I've become, I realize I'm in hell watching shitty horror movies for Satan's own sick pleasure, but I digress. Believe it or not, I have not always been a big horror fan. Oh sure, as a kid I liked a fairly good scare as much as any other kid, and I read a shitload of Goosebumps books and stuff like that, but it was not something I was deeply into. It was not until I was about 15 or 16 years old that me and some friends started hosting movie nights and threw a few horror flicks in there for good measure, that I really started getting a taste for it. And when at 16 a friend of mine showed me Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I was sucked in completely. It was so deliciously messed up, anything could happen at any time, and I found a vast new world of movies to watch. And that was when the horror fan in me was born. Well, while I wasn't exactly the biggest scaredy cat as a kid, there were some things that freaked me right the hell out. And we're gonna take a look at those things today. Now, I do realize that I'm one of the younger internet reviewers out there, so I'm setting an age limit for myself. Anything I saw from age 13 and younger is what I'm counting here, from memory. It's not like I have a specific date for everything. And like with all my other lists, this is personal choice. I'm not making a greatest childhood scares of all times thing here. Some other Four Eyes reviewer dude already did that. I don't really remember what he calls himself right now. But with all that said, let's get started. This is my top 9 childhood scares. Why top 9? Because I was such a hardcore kid that I can't even remember 10. Yeah.
And it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again. And you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
Number 9. Being a child of the 90s, I never watched the cartoon The Real Ghostbusters. In fact, the closest I got was owning a VHS of the Filmation Ghostbusters, which was much different and based on a live-action show from 1975. But I did watch the sequel to The Real Ghostbusters, that being Extreme Ghostbusters. When you first come across this show, it's easy to write it off as just another totally radical 90s rendition of an already existing franchise, but this show is so much more than that. Being made by the same team that did the 80s cartoon, it was a continuation of an already existing timeline, while at the same time taking a completely different tone. This rendition of the Ghostbusters played the horror much more straight, but didn't shy away from having some typical Ghostbusters humor.
Back off, Eduardo! Why? She's legal.
Holy shit! They got away with that? Oh man, the 90s ruled! One of the show's greatest strengths was its cast of characters. Other than Egon and Janine, we have a ragtag crew of characters who would have been the odd one out in any other cartoon. We have a goth chick, we have a lazy Latino, a wheelchair-bound extreme athlete, and a nerdy black guy. By the way, guess who voices that guy? Come on, guess who voices Roland? You know what, I'm gonna give you a clip to give you a little hand here. Come on, try listening to this and see if you recognize it.
Gee, I don't know. Do square people with square lives and square trash even have dreams?
Sound familiar? No? You give up? Alright, I'll show you.
It's not unusual to be lonely. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone.
I swear, when I realized that upon a rewatch, I squealed with joy.
It's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die.
Anyway, this show is low on the list because it didn't as much scare me as fascinate the hell out of me. These monsters and ghosts were so gruesome and so cool I wanted to see them every episode. But there were a few episodes that freaked me right the hell out. One of these is The Unseen, in which Kylie and Eduardo get separated from the rest of the group after Kylie loses her blaster.
Kylie lost her gun.
I did not. Eduardo lost my gun.
Like I said, Kylie lost her gun.
I'm sorry, after Eduardo loses her blaster. Now this wouldn't be such a big deal if it weren't for the fact that some big fucked up demon is running around stealing people's eyes if they look directly at a mystical orb. And that was what freaked me out. The idea of losing my sight has always been frightening to me, especially since I spend a lot of time drawing, reading, and, well, watching cartoons. And just look at this.
Of sacred seal you did partake. Now your sight you must forsake.
How is that not scary? Another episode that creeps me out even more now that I watch it as an adult is Grundalesque, which is actually a direct sequel to a Real Ghostbusters episode. It's about a creepy ghost who invites naughty children out to play, steals them away and turns them into copies of himself. It's a clear and very creepy allusion to pedophilia. It's tough to watch as a kid, it's even tougher to watch as an adult. Sadly, Extreme Ghostbusters only lasted about 40 episodes, but it did feature a two-parter with the old Ghostbusters gang returning, and the creative team would make two more awesome movie-based series, Men in Black and Godzilla the series, which kicked the ever-living shit out of that American movie, I might add. Today I can rewatch the show tons of times simply to have fun spotting the references. I mean seriously, can you name another kids show that offhandedly references Maximum Overdrive? Or that references Hellraiser, In the Mouth of Madness and Goosebumps in the same episode? Or does an entire episode homage to Killer Clown from Outer Space? Okay, except maybe that. Extreme Ghostbusters. They may not be afraid of no ghosts, but I sure was.
It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying turn.
Number 8. Today I am a big fan of The Muppet Show. It's funny, it's zany, and the movies have a way of touching your heart deeply. Well, the good ones at least. One movie that hits home in particular is their fantastic rendition of A Christmas Carol. Probably my favorite of the incarnations I've seen, strongly contesting with Bill Murray's Scrooged, a modernized adaptation which I urge all of you to watch. What can I say? Most people have already seen this movie and most people absolutely love it, and for all the right reasons. It follows the original story by Charles Dickens much closer than in many other adaptations, even going as far as having Gonzo, who serves as the narrator, quote the book directly. It's absolutely beautifully puppeteered. It features freaking Michael Caine, who does an amazing job and plays the whole thing completely straight. And even while it remains scary and heart-wrenching, the whole thing is still littered with classic Muppet humor where it's needed. It's the perfect balance of a slew of emotions. One moment you're laughing at Gonzo using Rizzo to wipe a window, the next you're biting your nails in fear. And I'm telling you this. Anyone who can watch this movie without tearing up at one of the parts about Tiny Tim is born without a soul!
How was the churchyard?
Well, it'll be lovely, Emily. It would have done you good to see how green the place is. I picked a spot for Tim where he can see. It's a spot on the hill. And you can see the ducks on the river. Tiny Tim
Always loved watching the ducks on the river.
Oh boy. Okay. Give me a minute, guys. Whew. Okay, I'm back. Oh, Tiny Tim. In most renditions of A Christmas Carol, the truly scary part is when Scrooge meets the ghost of Christmas yet to come. And even in this movie, he is freaky as hell. Enough that the film wisely decided to have our wacky narrators hide in fear and let the scene play out in all its freakiness. But that was not the part that got me as a kid. Oh no, the part that got me starts right here.
Jacob Marley.
Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. I cannot describe to you just how badly that scared the piss out of me when I was a kid. And it didn't even stop there. The real terror begins when Statler and Waldorf show up, taking the role of Jacob Marley together. Now keep this in mind. At this point, when I saw this movie, I hadn't watched The Muppet Show. I mean, I knew who Kermit was, I knew who Miss Piggy was, and so on, but I'd never seen these two guys before. I didn't know they were usually funny old dudes riffing on people from the balcony. And now here they are, wrapped in chains, gleefully remembering how they humiliated people and ruined their lives just for kicks, and rubbing Scrooge's nose in the eternal punishment that awaits him in one of the creepiest songs ever put to film.
We're Marley and Marley, avarice and greed. We took advantage of the poor, just ignored the needy. We specialized in causing pain, spreading fear and doubt. And if you could not pay the rent, we simply threw you out.
And while it was what was happening that scared me back then, today's the lyrics that never fail to fuck me over. Just listen to this part.
Doomed Scrooge, you're doomed for all time. Your future is a horror story written by your crime. Your chains are forged by what you say and do. So after fun when life is done, a nightmare waits for you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Statler and Waldorf just told the entire audience that you better fucking behave or you'll end up like them. You're not even gonna go to hell because you're too cruel for that. That is fantastic lyrical work and scary as shit. A Muppet Christmas Carol. A fantastic movie in every right, and I watch it every year. Along with Scrooged. Seriously. Watch it.
It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying turn.
Number 7.
We interrupt this program to bring you Courage the Cowardly Dog Show!
Oh, I'm sure I'm not the only one who remembers this gem. Courage the Cowardly Dog is a fantastic Cartoon Network show with a rather large cult following. The premise was perfectly simple. Courage is the name of a dog living with an elderly farmer couple, the sweet and gentle Muriel and the always cranky Egon. In each and every episode, their home nowhere, no, really, the place was literally called Nowhere, would be attacked by some kind of menace, supernatural or not, and would be up to Courage to save his family. And believe me when I tell you, this show kicked ass! Okay, maybe kick ass is not the best choice of words, but it's definitely how I feel about it. While it was definitely zany and cartoony with tons of completely random shit going on, it was incredibly well put together. The character cast was very fun. I think everyone who watched this show remembers Courage's snarky computer, for instance.
You're such a lousy typist.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot.
But even with that, the horror was played rather straight. There were episodes on everything. Pig creatures who made burgers out of human flesh, motel owners that fed its guests to giant spiders, zombies, freaky puppeteers. It had all the classic horror tropes that would scare the piss out of you and make you laugh at the same time. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't have Cartoon Network for a very long time, so that means I actually only saw Season 1 and bits and pieces of Season 2. But that was plenty to provide some really creepy moments. I'm sure everyone remembers that goddamn mummy from King Ramses' Curse.
Return the slab, or suffer my curse.
Or how about the great Fusili and his corpse-like puppets? Or hell, what about the Demon in the Mattress, which is basically just the Courage version of the fucking Exorcist? But with all of these horrors, it was one of the lesser monsters that scared me. You might even say he freaked me out. That monster was Freaky Fred. Good God, this episode. For those who don't know it, basically Muriel's nephew Fred is coming to visit and he's a little odd. He just so happens to get locked together with Courage in the bathroom and we find out he has an unhealthy obsession with hair. And he wants nothing more than to shave poor little Courage naked, all while he gleefully remembers all the other times he got naughty. Oh my god, I could never take it when he said that word. Sure, shaving people sounds fairly innocent and funny, but what makes this character so freaky is just the perverse pleasure he takes in something so odd. It is clearly the greatest bliss this man has ever felt, and he cannot help himself but just cut people's hair off.
Dear Cur, your fur and fleece remind of nothing found in humankind, but for one fellow who did find me to be in a certain mood.
And the entire episode is narrated in that sing-song voice, sounding like a children's nursery rhyme, only to be broken by that one word whenever his insanity takes over. Maybe it was just the fact that unlike the other monsters, this guy was just a creepy fellow, an insane man. Maybe that's what scared me so badly. Today I recognize this as a delightful parody of Sweeney Todd, but back then, hoo boy, Freaky Fred. Teaching kids never to be
naughty. With love, Fred.